Hello and welcome into another edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I'm your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And the um, Arizona State men's basketball program came to an unceremonious end on Wednesday morning slash afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. And um, this was truly a tough loss for uh, anyone to really swallow as a potential fan, even media. It was a tough game to really watch and get a grasp on what was happening. Iowa State dominated the game for virtually 36 minutes of action. It was very, very lopsided. I mean, it was a Big 12 record, Big 12 tournament record for most lopsided win slash loss by Iowa State and Arizona State, respectively. It started out physical, 0-0, score 3 minutes into the game, and then Iowa State started getting into a little bit of a rhythm on offense, and it was over. It was over about 10 minutes into the game. Uh, Unfortunately for the Sun Devils, Mo Odom, Alan Mukeba, and Anthony Pig Johnson all saw their collegiate careers come to an end, although there is potential hope that Pig Johnson could come back for another year with recent rulings surrounding eligibility of players that played at lower levels prior to making the Division One leap. So we'll wait and see there. Otherwise, it's the end of those guys' careers for at least our present knowledge. And it's probably the end of the Bobby Hurley era. There's really not a lot that to talk about from this game, as you can see with the results. It's just Arizona State. I said coming into the game that they had to play a clean game. They turned the ball over 20 times. They did not make a three until I believe the second half. They were just rattled, and uh, it wasn't the way that anybody wanted the season to end, especially after playing very well against Baylor for about 35, 36 minutes of action. So, like I said, this is likely the end for the Bobby Hurley era. Hurley's contract expires on June 30th, but there's probably going to be a meeting between Hurley and Graham Rossini in the next few days where more clarity is found on that topic. And the likelihood is that the reports will be that Hurley is out and they will probably start the national search very shortly after, even though his contract doesn't expire until June. I mean, it would it would be very advantageous to start the process right now for Rossini and everybody involved in the Arizona State Athletic Department, because really right now, the only schools that have begun the exploration or the power programs that have begun exploring potential replacements at head coach are Providence, Kansas State, and Syracuse, who just announced that they're firing their coach, Adrian Autry, today. Now, Providence and Syracuse are probably going to be jobs that top candidates in this cycle gravitate to before Arizona State. We'll see what happens. I believe that Josh Schertz is in position to stay at St. Louis and wait for an even more attractive job to open in the future. St. Louis is obviously one of the most well-funded programs in the mid-major levels, and um, he can probably continue building a power in the mid-major ranks while he's waiting for a job that's even better than the ones that are open right now. So that one is unlikely right off the bat, although they have to kick the tires on him. There's no way that they can. It would be malpractice if that wasn't the case. Um, Same with Jared Calhoun. He's done an exceptional job at Utah State, but there's probably going to be programs that are seen as quote unquote more attractive than ASU that are open, and there's a chance that he might gravitate towards one of those jobs. Eric Olin is another one. I mean, that would be kind of a risky one because he took UC San Diego from a D2 power into Division One and did a great job there. But New Mexico has struggled over the last month or so. So taking a chance on him might be a little risky, especially when you're trying to elevate the program beyond what Hurley built the foundation on. And he might not have an incentive to leave New Mexico right now either. There might be potential for him to land a bigger job if he continues to build up that program. I mean, you have Derek Glasser, who is an Arizona State alumni. You have some other coaches in the Northwest region that you could take a look at. Randy Bennett is one. That would be an interesting, very, very interesting hire because Bennett is a native of Mesa. His father coached at Mesa Community College and he played there. There is a connection. And he might have an incentive to actually leave St. Mary's after over 20 years in the job there since Gonzaga is departing for the Pac-12. That means that St. Mary's, if they slip up in conference play once or twice, they'd be in real danger of not making the NCAA tournament if they don't get the automatic bids. So that could lead to Bennett and Herb Sendek, former Arizona State coach, trying to find their stops, um, finding their next stops. I believe that Randy Bennett would honestly be a home run hire, at least from my point of view. Um, he is older in terms of a coach making that jump to power conference basketball, but he is one of the best talent evaluators in all of college basketball, not just on the West Coast, not just in the West Coast Conference, all of college basketball. I believe that he has the passion to lead Arizona State into a new era. I think he is a great voice for the direction of the program that Graham Rossini and others want to see it move towards, even though Bobby Hurley was extremely passionate. It's obviously more likely than not over there. So I think Bennett would be a nice transition. I think that he'd do an exceptional job with more resources. I think that there is potential for more commitment to the basketball program in the years ahead, especially since Rossini is now athletic director instead of Ray Anderson. I think that overall, especially with the arena renovation, that Arizona State has potential to be maybe not one of the top programs in the Big 12. I'm not saying that at all, but relatively consistent in finishing in the top half or so of the conference, being a consistent tournament team, possibly even a Sweet 16 team. I think that Randy Bennett could do that, especially making that jump. Um, Bryce Drew is another candidate that I think is potentially strong. I know people have mixed feelings on him, but he's taken Grand Canyon to the NCAA tournament. He really built off of what Dan Marley laid down foundation wise. He took Vanderbilt to the NCAA tournament. Vanderbilt looks like they're going to be a consistent NCAA tournament team under Mark Byington moving forward. But back then, when he was coaching, that was unheard of. So he did good things at Vanderbilt, at Grand Canyon, and at Valparaiso. And it would be kind of ironic that Arizona State poached both of Grand Canyon's head coaches in roughly a 1 year span. There are certainly more coaches that should be on the radar, but until then, we'll see what transpires of the likely conclusion that this is the end of the Bobby Hurley era. And Arizona State on SI will keep you in the loop with all the news, latest updates, and uh, ex really fascinating thought experience experiments in terms of who the next coach might be once that now in when and if that announcement is officially made. Until then, stay tuned with ASU on SI. Thank you so much for tuning into another edition of the Sun Devils Insider podcast, and I will see you with another episode tomorrow. Thank you so much.